Hey, welcome back to Fat Boys Anime. We're still fat out here. We're still watching anime, so we're doing what we've been called to do.
We still eating, man. And first of all, guess who's back, boys? Guess who's back?
Mmm.
Back again. You know what I'm
Mmm.
saying? We're
We
back,
eating.
man. You know, I'm excited, man. I haven't been talking about anime for a couple of weeks. And, for all you listeners out there, if you guys didn't know, baby Jiraiya was born, man.
Yeah.
Just, came out with a Rasengan into this world. And now he's breathing. So I'm good. I'm excited and I'm happy to be back, though, man. Miss this.
What's the Shadow Realm like?
Oh man, the Shadow Realm. You know what? It's actually not that bad, all right? It's not that bad, everyone. I'm just breaking the news now. Okay, so I say this, man. Everyone like since I went back to work too, everyone asked me like, "Oh, how's it been?" Blah blah. I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad. But let's see. If you ask Mama, she might have a different
Oh
story.
gosh.
She's the one who got to do all the feeding and everything. So it's like some of those late nights, I can just snooze the button a little bit and not wake up. But you know what? It's been enjoyable so far. Of course, he has his fussy moments. What baby doesn't? But it's been awesome.
Yeah, I think it's definitely easier being the primary bread maker in that instance.
Yeah,
Because
I
then
think
you just show up to work, you do your thing,
yeah,
and they got a lot more work to do.
they really do, man. You know what the trickiest part has been though is that people ask me his name and trying to explain it. So first of all, right, everyone who knows me knows I'm into anime, right? Like all my friends, people close, whatever it may be. On a professional standpoint, right? I don't. No one knows I'm into anime. No one knows, and I probably will never tell them just because I'm keeping things professional, right? So when people ask me his name, I'm like, okay, Gabriel, and I'm hoping they just like leave it at that, like his name's Gabriel. But then people are like, oh, what'd you name his middle name? So then I'm like, oh man, I knew this was gonna come sooner or later. So then I'm like, well, his middle name's Jariah, and they're like, Jariah, what's Jariah? And I'm just like, it's a biblical name too, right? Like Jariah. They're like, how do you spell it? I'm like, well, I don't spell it like the Bible name. They're like, and then like some people who obviously know the Bible, they're like, oh, that's probably Old Testament, huh? I'm like, yeah, yeah. They're like, you don't spell it like the Bible? I'm like, well, it's not technically named after the Bible. So I've been in some awkward situations trying to explain his name, but then it's like I refuse to tell people that I'm all about that anime life. Like I said, at work, not yet, at least. I'm sure it's gonna slip one day. Like my coworkers, the people who I work with closely, no. But like when I go hanging out in the OR rooms, talking to doctors and whatnot, they don't know, and I don't plan on telling them. Man, that's the predicament I'm in right now.
And that's an old school generation anime type thing to keep it more hidden. Because I think it's a lot more
Yeah.
acceptable for these new wave kids to talk about it
Yeah.
like they would talk about any other TV show.
Yep.
But in the age we grew up in with Dragon Ball Z, anime fans were kind of they were frowned upon. So if you liked it, it was almost more closeted.
Right. Everyone thought they were
Yeah.
like so. It's funny that you say that, like frowned upon, because like obviously we've all watched anime for the longest time. And my wife, right? She even like when I first met her in high school, like she didn't know like I was super into anime. She's like, yeah, I would have never guessed you were pretty quiet about it. She's like, and like to be fair, I always thought like people who watched anime were those people who dressed up like in those weird cloaks with headbands and like ran with their arm, did the Naruto run, ran with their arms
That's
behind their back.
fair.
And she's like, and growled at people. I'm like, growled at people. And then it's funny though, she says that, man. There's sometimes where she's bothering me and I just like growl at her for no reason. But I don't know why I do that. And I'm like, oh man, it's kind of true though. It happens. It kind of happens,
We see you doing the Naruto run at Planet Fitness on the treadmill.
right? I know. I've seen some videos like that. One of these days I might do that.
Yeah, I think when we were so elementary school, it was cool. Like, me and all of my friends, we would talk about Dragon Ball Z or Yu-Gi-Oh! And then by middle school, it was really only cool if you kind of watched Naruto. And then by high school, everyone's like, nah, bro, we don't do that. We don't watch anime. And then by the time we got into college, it was like, all right, who cares? But yeah, it's definitely anime has kind of gone through arcs of like when it was popular and when it wasn't.
All I know is it's only going to continue getting popular, right? So we're good. I just like the one thing I really worry about is like the day he asked me and then he's disappointed in me for naming him after an anime name. Like, what if he's not into anime? He's just gonna be like, "Come on, pops! Like, why'd you do that?" But I gotta
No, in
start
the
him young.
same way you have American culture kids being raised on Disney movies.
Yeah,
I think my kids are going to be raised on, kids animes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like that.
I
And like I
agree.
was thinking about it, like there's like people name their kids all different types of names nowadays. Like you obviously you see in the news like where like famous people name it like crispy apple or something weird like that. You know what I mean? Like Jiraiya's like you
From
know
the
that you kind of like
Kardashians.
know that's a name, but you're like what's the meaning behind it? That's when it kind of gets weird. But so hopefully he likes it. Hopefully I did something right.
Well, I think as far as anime names went, you went with a pretty solid one that, if you just heard it offhand, you'd be like, okay, Jiraiya. Like if I name my kid Usopp or something, that just wouldn't fly as well. They'd be like,
Or
Usopp. They'd be like,
Katakuri.
yeah, Katakuri. They'd be like,
What?
what are you talking about, bro? Or is your kid what does he look like, a flip flop? That's why you named him Usopp, or what? What's going on here? So
Oh man,
Jiraiya, I think you're in the clear.
man, I'm excited though. What are we getting into today, boys? I'm excited, ready to talk about fire off topics. Let's get it.
Man, we're gonna hit some people with our L's of the week. It's been a minute since we did the L, so we got to bring them back. We got to tell people who's just tearing their ACLs out here in the anime world, and then we're gonna get into, man, this was a fire anime. We're talking about Vinland Saga. We're about to get balls deep on this anime. So get ready, boys.
Y'all better be ready, man. I got so many owls to talk about. You guys ain't even ready. So let's dive into it, man.
All right, who wants to go first? Who wants this first this first pick?
Okay. Are we talking about owls, right? Our owls?
Yeah.
I got a couple, right? First one I'm going to start off with, right, is not necessarily animated, but it's this podcast related. You know where I'm going with this?
Oh,
I'm going back to your guys' last episode of that top 5 transformations, man. And I got to roast a couple picks right there, man, because I thought they were
what
big
the
owls.
what?
They were big owls, man. First of all,
Wow.
let's start off with Nick's first pick because I know you guys roasted him a little bit with Charizard, man. Come on, we're putting Charizard on a transformation list. What is this? Is this JV, man? Like, come on, man. This is the big boy anime leagues. You know what I'm saying? We got Charizard.
Oh
Oh my
god.
goodness. No. And then the next ones, man. First of all, you guys missed the biggest, hypest, most transformation in all of Naruto. You guys skipped it over twice, not once. You want to say Naruto turning the Nine Tails? Come on, boy. We expected that. That's been done. Expected. He's gradually turned into the Nine Tails throughout all of Naruto Shippuden. Nick, yours was kind of like almost kind of cool, right? But then like it was just a redo, man. It was just a redo of Madara. Madara already cloaked the Nine Tails all by himself. You know what I mean? Only
What
this
the
one only
heck?
took Naruto and Sasuke to cloak the Nine Tails. Madara did that by himself with no help, no one else. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
you kind of got like the second version of it that you put up there. If you would have said Madara turning the Nine Tails into cloaked with the Susanoo, maybe. But since you said not like Naruto and Sasuke when it turned it, nah, come on, son, get it out of here.
What
The
Naruto transformation you thinking of then?
Come on, boys. And I got to throw this man some hype because I feel like he doesn't get that much love sometimes. You know what I'm saying? This dude has no power, like no power handed down from him. He has no Sage of Six Pass power. This guy has no special Keki Genkai. He wasn't given any eyes or anything like that. You know what I mean?
All
This
right.
Yeah,
dude,
I know where you're
from
going.
from sheer will, man, worked his way up to probably be hands down the strongest ninja in all of Naruto that didn't have like any special powers, right? He didn't have Indra and Asura's like chakra, dissipated in him. He didn't have any tailed beasts in him. I'm talking about my boy, my guy, transforming into the 8 gates, man. When he opens up that last gate, and he nearly kills this, like the Sage of Six Pass Madara version. You know what I'm saying? This dude just said, "No, I don't need no powers, man. Put it on my back." When he does that last attack, Night Guy. Come on, guys. How did you leave that one out? I gotta ask that question.
I'm not a big My Guy fan.
Oh
What?
gosh.
No.
Gosh, dang. I won't go that
So
far, but I'll flip it around and say, when I try to put Mike Guy on my greatest sensei list, you hated on me for that, boy. So don't be trying to bring him back. Don't be trying to
Look,
bring him
I'm
back
not
in the
bringing it back,
transformations.
man.
You already did him dirty. You did him dirty yourself.
Okay, you're talking about senseis, man. That's a whole nother story. I'm just talking about straight being a badass. We're talking about being a badass, man. This dude had it locked down.
But if you're talking about transformations, he is on a lot of top lists when you look up transforms. But he
Was
doesn't
he?
really change that much.
He-
Like he just gets a red glare around him. Maybe his
I
hair
guess,
goes up a
yeah.
little bit. Like the actual transformation isn't that good. It's
I can see
the
what you're,
underlining
yeah.
power.
If you're talking about like a physical like transformation, yes, he doesn't really change that much. But I mean, come on now. We had Gon and like Toguro in there where they just really get buff. You know what I mean? Like that transformation
That's
ain't
what Nick
nothing
was trying to
special.
say.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, guy, at least this dude, like his skin gets all burnt. You know what I mean? He has red lines running through him. Like his power up was just probably better than anyone's power up in all of your guys' list.
I thought you were gonna say Sage of Six Paths Naruto, because I
Mm.
was kind of like, all right, that was a pretty cool transformation too that we left off. Guy, even though I do like that transformation, he's not making my top five.
Oh, mom, man. No, I see. I'm like, these guys didn't put it on their list. I know they'd fight back with it a little bit. But I had to like just say my piece right there real quick. You know what I mean? Charizard, like I said, man, what is this JV? And I felt like since Naruto was brought up a couple times, I felt like you guys missed the best transformation in Naruto. So had to say it, had to do it to you guys.
I mean, I'll give you half of that. I'll agree with the Charizard because when I heard Charizard, I was like, wow, bro. We're at the dealership. I could have picked myself a Maserati, and I went with the Kia Spectra instead.
Hey,
But
sometimes
that's
you just gotta go with what you like. Say something a little spicy to get the fans going.
oh,
That's true, man. That's true. You definitely got me going. That's all I know. When I heard that, I was like, "What the heck,
oh
man?"
god.
I'm like, "What the fudge?"
Dang, we better watch out, Nick. We got Nogs playing a Monday quarterback over here. He's sitting back, trying to take shots when he wasn't even there in the
Man,
battlefield.
I was just watching film this whole time, boys. I was just
Oh
sitting back. This guy's
gosh.
trash. This guy's trash, man. Why are these guys on the cast? You know what I'm saying? Get them out of here.
It's like playing it back with your football coach. They're
Yeah.
like, hold up, rewind that. Watch him get
Yeah.
knocked out again right here. Why'd you say that, boy?
Yeah. That's how it be. Sometimes you don't even realize, man, what you say until after the fact. But it's always a good time still.
All right, all right. Okay, I see you sniping out here. Um, let me hit you with the I got a L of the week real quick. So my anime L, I'm going with the Demon Slayer manga. Just pulling up too short. I think I
Oh,
think
okay.
they kind of did themselves a little dirty. And this is why, because with the announcement that My Hero is coming to a close, we know AOT is wrapping up. One Piece has got to be getting somewhere close to the end. Demon Slayer could have just had, the reins could have been theirs. They could have just taken off and just been like the primary anime for at least, the next several years. But with them cutting off short, I don't know if they're gonna have that staying power. Like they're always gonna be recognized as like an amazing anime. Obviously, their movie broke the grossing records in Japan. One anime of the year in 2019, but it's like I think they're leaving some meat on the bone by not continuing at least a little bit longer. I don't know.
Man, live
Because you
fast, die
saw
young.
them, yeah. But you saw them blow up over the past 2 years here with merchandise. You start to see montages everywhere. When you see that kind of reaction from your fan base, sometimes you just got to keep it rolling, man. Keep the money machine turning. Why would you
Yeah.
cut that off when you build such an intricate world that you know the fans love?
Man, so I'm thinking that the author, right? Because I felt the same way when I read the manga and then obviously it finished. And I was just like, man, I was surprised like that it's not continuing and that it's not going longer. You never know. Like there's still chances for it to like, they do like another, era to it essentially, and they find some other demons because they can easily do that. But I was, I agree with Tyler, man. I thought it was just like, why are they stopping it so soon, man? And it's just like it's so good. I want more of it. But then sometimes I try to think about it. Did you think the author really thought it was gonna be good? You know what I mean? Because I feel like the manga had like almost no hype, a little hype behind the anime when it first came out, but when the anime actually hit and everyone saw the animation and whatnot, everyone lost their minds, right? Everyone fell in love with Demon Slayer, and it was kind of like perfect timing because like there was no really like new big animes out at that moment, so that one kind of really just stole the moment. So I'm curious if like the author wasn't expecting it to be that big, so he kind of had the story played out in his mind already, like okay, this is how it's gonna go and end, and now the anime is
Yeah.
blowing up. You know what I mean? So it's like you want from his standpoint, I'm like thinking it's like because I'm sure he's making a good amount of money. Like, do you want to backtrack and like restart it up again, or like I'm curious to like what would go through his mind.
Because from a writer's perspective, your manga getting turned into anime can either really help you, like it did for Demon Slayer, or it can really hurt you if they end up doing some bad animation or cutting you dry. And it can
Promise
lead people
Neverland.
away from the manga too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Promise Neverland's probably a pretty because they came out like similar timing, and season two's kind of people are upset about season two, right? So it's
Yeah.
interesting, and I doubt they're gonna do Demon Slayer wrong in any way. Because like if you read the manga, obviously it gets better, the action gets even better. So if they keep sticking with their like fancy, animation, people are gonna love it. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. We might only have two seasons out of it or three, depending how quick they want to progress it.
Yeah. And I guess, it's like if it's a great piece of art, you can't really hate it for being too long or too short, but I just think when all is said and done, it might be remembered more as like a Full Metal Alchemist rather than like a Naruto or a One Piece because it's going to be a little bit shorter. So, but I mean, still it's amazing. Like hats off to the author and the writer because it's perfection.
People look more fondly at long-running animes. When you think of goats in anime, it's more the long-running ones that really get remembered, just because of the time you built up with the characters. And the short-running
Yeah.
ones, they can be perfection, but without the hours put in, they won't even make that top tier list, at least in my
So
mind.
yeah. So I don't. So part of me like always wonders about that because that's like a great point. Like obviously like the long running ones are like the greatest animes, right? It's hard because there's like emotional like attachment everyone has to like the characters and whatnot. Like for Naruto, watched it back when it first came out in the US, right? Whenever that was like 2000 or whatever. So you know what I mean? That's like 20 years of Naruto. But then like if you were ever to compare like the first like, first season with Demon Slayer and first season Naruto, I bet a lot of people say Demon Slayer was better, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
If you look back at it now, it's just kind of hard to recreate those long running animes because you get to the point like especially if you're an author, right, where you're gonna have to create fillers, you're gonna have to create side stories, you know what I mean, tell stories, about side characters and whatnot, just to get that content. And I feel like that's probably really hard. And if you're an author who already like knows, like if you write a book, right, you most people who go into writing a book, have a start and have an end in mind. So then it's just kind of filling out the details in between, which I feel like some of these short animes kind of like start off with. Like they're probably not expecting it to be big. So it's like, cool, this is how I'm going to do it. And this is how I'm going to end it. And I kind of want to do all this in between. Whereas like, One Piece, man, I don't know if One Piece ever truly had an end. Where, you know what I mean? Like there's just so much you can do with that. And I think that's why you see like, what are we at? Like over 1,000 episodes now. It's like, it's hard to recreate those animes without people really losing interest.
Yeah. Well, and then just like the mental capacity to be able to keep expanding your verse and make it all be able to tie together and make sense. I mean, because Oda, he's trying to keep track of like hundreds and hundreds of characters. I mean, it's insane. So, um, I would imagine, yeah, even trying to write something out like Demon Slayer, even if you're gonna go 3 seasons, 4 seasons, that would be pretty difficult.
Yeah.
So it
That's
just,
why
it
Oda
just,
That's why Oda's the GOAT, right? Because
Yeah.
the crazy part is like if you look up, you see like a bunch of references that he's done like episode like 40, you know what I mean? And then it kind of comes back and you see it like in episode 800 or whatever it may be. I got to look them up and get this specific examples, man. But it's like to have that like mental capacity of like you know referencing like back in the day still is actually pretty insane, and he does it like so good, man. It just like when you catch it in the anime, you're just like, what the heck?
Do you think he just has a giant wall in his house with all the characters up there and like these strings going all over the
Oh
place?
man,
Oh, yeah.
that's what I swear. I feel like it. I feel like he has to have something like that. That or there's like 800 people working for him, right? And each 800 people are just assigned to one character and like tying it back. Like I have no idea, man. I wish I could just like just sit in his mind for like a day and just see how he thinks about like One Piece and when he's writing it and whatnot.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I guess Demon Slayer, even with 3 seasons, it's gonna be pretty awesome. But we'll just have to see. Maybe Jujutsu Kaisen is just gonna kind of take the lead, and that's gonna be the one. Maybe with Black Clovers and Baruto is just gonna clap those cheeks for the next 8 to 10 years.
We'll see. And Nick, what's Nick's out of the week?
Well, speaking of that, I'm gonna go back with Naruto too, because this one's one of the ones that really peeves me, really hits me. Because you start off Naruto episode 1, what does he say? I want to be the Hokage one day. Believe it. You know what happens at the end of Shippuden in the anime? Naruto doesn't become Hokage. How do you wrap up the main storyline without ever seeing him actually become the Hokage? You end it on him marrying Hinata, which he's not even a romance writer and doesn't play that out very well. But the Hokage actually happens as an OVA in Baruto for the anime. So talk about a trash wrap up to a long running story. How do you play it off for him saying, I want to be the Hokage 10 times every single episode, 950 episodes, and then it never happens?
Question, right? And I never really thought about that, but like that is kind of true. I never realized that. But what if he did it in the sense of keeping the book open, right? Like what if he wants to tell some of Naruto's story before he becomes Hokage, but after the war? What if he wants to show like Naruto become a Jonin or whatnot? You know what I mean? Or he does all his special like maybe he's Anbu or something like that. You know what I mean? Like he does special missions because what movie was it? The last movie or whatnot? How they were saying like Naruto's crazy busy, like people were rarely seeing him. Sakura was like, I rarely see you now, and he's like always away doing missions and whatnot. What if they left the book open just to like tell that story in the future?
So you could come back after Baruto and do like Naruto the Lost Years between him having a family and being the leader of the village and him going on these OG night missions type thing.
Because technically you could open the anime, and I doubt they will, right? Just like how it's all ended. But like technically you can open it up and do that. Like there's that possibility now. Whereas if you didn't, you kind of just close it off him being the Hokage. It kind of feels like you officially close the book on Naruto, right? And there's like never going back to it. That's why you feel like you just go to Baruto. But I feel like, there's a chance that you want to reopen it up and like tell his story like after the war and whatnot, that you can do that.
Yeah, it seems like they kind of used Baruto to like fill all the plot holes from Shippuden. Like, all right, yeah, Naruto became the Hokage. Kakashi just kind of sat in his office and chilled for a while, and then they explain a little more about the Akatsukis and stuff, or the Otsukis. But yeah, I would agree. Like, I think Naruto's story has been they've kind of been doing him dirty in Baruto. Like, yeah, he becomes a Hokage, but he's portrayed as like a horrible dad.
Yeah.
And then, spoiler alert, he loses something that may or may not be a huge part of his character as a whole. And then, I mean, they're making it seem like him and Sasuke are probably going to die at some point in Naruto.
I think they're really trying to nerf both of them, right? Trying to get them weak because The whole thing, like, remember, it was a Kakashi saying like the old generation will always, or the new generation will always surpass the old generation. In all
Yeah.
reality, you can't surpass Sasuke or Naruto unless you're an Otsuki, which even then has we goes to show it Naruto is stronger than all of them if you've kind of kept up with the manga.
Yeah.
So you have to, right, if you want Baruto to surpass that, you're gonna have to like knock Naruto off the pedestal a couple notches, you know what I mean? So how do you do that? You gotta, essentially just make him lose some power or whatever it may be, and that gives the opportunity for the new generation to get stronger, than him and whatnot.
They're gonna have to play off an emotional string because right now they're portraying them as Sasuke and Naruto as bad fathers. Sasuke is never around. Naruto's a workaholic. But the way for them to lose their power or to come back is going to be saving their kids. So it's like sacrificing themselves for their kids.
Yeah.
They have to put themselves at a weak point in order to set that stage for the next generation. Otherwise, you're never going to see them fall from glory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't kill them. With that being said, I'm sure I'm not the only one out there. Honestly, I never really wanted Baruto. I never really cared about hearing the story of Naruto's kids, right? I wanted to hear a story of Naruto after the war. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to hear his story after. I wanted to see him progress. Honestly, you could have just done like a quick, 25 episode season where it progresses Naruto into the Hokage. You know what I mean? But there's definitely a gap of story from when Kakashi's Hokage till when Naruto becomes Hokage that could be told with Naruto.
And I just really thought that was lacking from the end of Shippuden.
Yeah.
How they wrap it up, just showing him becoming a man by getting married and all his friends kind of going off in different directions. It left a lot wanting for me.
He definitely closed a lot of big fan hopes, right? So like he made sure Naruto got married to Hinata. They made sure, like Kishimoto, he made sure that Shikamaru and Tamari ended up together, like those type of relationships. They did those special episodes on all those people to like wrap around that. And you're just like, I'm kind of happy. I feel good inside, but I was happy to watch those episodes, but part of me kind of wanted a little more story with Naruto when he becomes Hokage, kind of like you were saying. So it is an L, man. I kind of like that L. That's a pretty cool one to pick.
I like that, Nick, because when you're online, I get in some scuffs with some Naruto fans. So I like Nick out here speaking the truth, saying, "All right, hold on, let's look at this objectively."
Can I do my L now? My real L of the week?
Yeah, what's your real L? After
you
try to throw shade at us, bro. What's your real L?
All right. You guys mentioned it before, but I got to go back to My Hero, right? I'm going with My Hero, okay? So I'm not taking too much stock into them announcing like this is the final arc, right? Because the final arc could be like 100 to 300 episodes. Like you never know.
Yeah.
My L is actually diving deeper, right? Wait, have you guys read the manga?
No. I've been seeing some stuff, but I haven't necessarily read
you know what? I don't even care because this is my L of the week. Spoiler alert, if you don't read the manga and you're dying to wait 16 years to figure out what happens in My Hero, because let's be real, that's how long it takes for them to just produce animes. My L of the week goes to UA, which is the high school that Midoriya goes to. And the reason why I'm saying this, right? So in the most couple recent issues of the manga, Midoriya left the high school. He officially dropped out and he is flying solo as a hero now. So the reason why I'm saying that's the L of the week, right, is because the high school, which is considered the best high school there is, right, as far as, training your quirks, is potentially losing the greatest hero of all time. That's going to happen in My Hero. L of the week right there, boys.
So they're copying Harry Potter and like the J.K. Rowling thing where Harry goes off from the university and the school, right?
Yeah.
He's progressed beyond needing to learn and actually just going to save the world.
Yeah, well, not necessarily needing to learn, but in more the sense where like Harry Potter feels like he's more danger, like him being there is going to cause danger to everyone. Same exact thing with, Deku. He feels like him staying at the school is going to cause more danger or harm to potentially his classmates or whatnot, so he left. Because I feel like he definitely could have learned still from a lot of everyone. So it's gonna be interesting. This is like actually like pretty like this is like only like 2-3 weeks old as far as him leaving, but it's been interesting to see how they progress him now. Like they can do a little time skip. I hope they do a little time skip to where he's kind of like
Yeah.
more powerful. But we'll see, man, how the week goes to those guys. Because how are you gonna be the best school, but now you're gonna be like, it's on paper you're gonna have the greatest hero of all time drop out. You know what I mean? That's not gonna look good for the school.
One, I hope as he leaves, it it leads to some character development because as of right now, Deku, it's like you're kind of getting there, bro, but you're still not even like where Luffy was at post time skip
Yeah.
or where Naruto was at post time skip. Like he doesn't seem like he's ready to put the weight of the world on his shoulders. And so it's like it's kind of go time, My hero. Or get into the last arc, like bro, you gotta get some fur, you gotta get some hair in your chest and get ready to put the team on your back.
Tyler, did you know? I feel like you knew this already that he left.
Yeah, I'd seen some spoilers.
See, I knew Tyler knew. Nick's a good one, man. I know Nick probably didn't look at spoilers. Nick, did you know? You can be
Nah, I
honest.
didn't know that.
Okay. Yeah, I knew Tyler knew that. That's the only reason I'm like, okay, it's only spoiler alert for one person. So I'm just, and I feel like I had to talk about it because it's kind of just been on my mind this week. But man, I kind of, right? So I want the time skip so Deku could get like a boost up in like character development, like Tyler's saying, right? But then it kind of bothers me, like if you're going into the final arc, and like this whole time, you kind of and like the whole like the first time skip you really do is like Deku's real development, because then I feel like you just take away from his character development as a whole. You're like, man, you make him look super lame, and then you like potentially gonna make him look super cool if you do a time skip and whatnot. But it's like, man, you could, like, where's the development in that? And you're gonna be in the final arc. It's like, will I ever get that? You guys ever gonna really like show Deku like transition into a really cool guy, or is he just gonna be a chump and then now he's just gonna be a badass? You know what I mean?
Yeah, without that progression showing them develop off on their own, it's less climactic to see them at their endpoint.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
you see him as this kid, really not much development, just kind of go getter. But if
Yep.
they just jump to him being this mentally wise and strong individual at the end,
Yep.
it leaves a lot wanting for the following of that character.
Because then you're gonna want the story, right? Everyone's like, well, what happened in between? I don't know like how they're gonna do it, like I said, but if they were to go down that route, it's like, well, what happened in between? I want to know, like, did Deku train, like all that type of stuff. So it's like I feel like, especially with this anime, right? Because we just talked about like those long running animes. My Hero doesn't have the potential, right? It is like it can be that Naruto, it can be that One Piece if they keep it going for a while. That's why I'm curious to see like them announcing the final arc. How long is the final arc gonna be? You know, are they just gonna do like 50, 60 episodes? Because I feel like that's gonna be even a bigger L. Because I feel like they can do so much with this anime. And
Yeah.
will they? Will they not? That's the big question that I'm wondering right now.
Well, and does he go off on his own or does he take some of his classmates with him?
That that's what we're kind of waiting on to see.
Oh,
So
okay.
on the latest issue, he's about to pop up again, but they kind of made it seem like he just went out on his own. So that's why I'm curious though. If they do a time skip, I don't know what they're gonna do. Did he get some training from someone, or what happens, or is he just like finally figured out his power and whatnot to where he got the massive power up? I have no idea. That's what's gonna be interesting to see.
Because the show projects these morals of them working together as heroes, as classmates to save the world. And now,
Yep.
if they're just going to switch that to only Deku off on his own, it kind of is a juxtaposition of what they were portraying towards the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, because that was a real big thing about it. So that's interesting.
Well, and aside from Deku, I think people want to see some more character development from Bakugo and Todoroki too, like
Yeah.
in different ways than Deku, but it still seems like they're very unpolished themselves. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm interested. I mean, because an arc could be anything nowadays. Sorry to bring up One Piece, but they've got an arc that's literally over 100 episodes. So it's like,
Yeah.
what does that really mean? I don't know. We'll see.
I hope. I mean, I want it to be long, right? Because I want more of My Hero. Because like I said, forget like potential, right? Because it has had the potential since like it first came out. This thing is like the next Naruto. It is the next One Piece. It's are they gonna let it be that next one, or are they gonna cut it short and you're just gonna be like, well, shit, it really wasn't. So I don't know. My hero might be a Big Al, right, in these next coming years. So we'll see.
Yeah, we might just throw the whole series as an L on one of our segments. Yeah, here soon. So I don't know. Yeah, because Deku was always portrayed to be like it was the passing of the torch from Luffy, Naruto, and Ichigo to Deku, but I don't know if he's really lived up to that. It's been a great series, but it's kind of fallen flat in a couple areas for me.
Right. As an MC, he hasn't lived up to that high expectation yet. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like if they he obviously will. Like I have like no doubt in my mind that he's gonna just be, a bad mother effer. But are they gonna give him the necessary time as far as an anime and manga goes to like capture everyone's heart, you know what I mean? And like be like, yeah, hands down, my hero's like one of the greatest animes as far as those like long running ones go.
I don't know,
It's a question.
but
We'll see, right? In the future.
we're gonna see. Did you have another L or was that it? No.
No, that's it for now, man. I'll say. I mean, there's always L's in anime, right? I mean, let's talk about how Vegeta let Cell turn into Perfect Cell. You know,
Oh
let's talk about that L,
gosh.
or how Goku threw him the sensu bean. Like, there's millions of L's
Oh.
in animes, but well, that's it for today for me. So I'm ready to get into some Vinland Saga.
Yeah, as you're bringing up animes with potential, let's
Ooh.
talk about Vinland Saga.
Gosh, dang. And you know what's crazy is as you get to the end, the last episode, you find out that all 24 episodes we watched was simply the prologue to what's really supposed to go down in this story. We haven't gotten those portions animated yet, but man, season 1
Tyler
just
looked up the spoilers. That's the spoiler. Don't be lying, bro.
sorry, I started off with the spoiler. I'm
Oh,
trash.
you
So, for
suck
those
at
of you who
it.
don't know, Vinland Saga is an Amazon Prime, right? It's only
Yep.
on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Original anime, and it's a set in the early 1400s, following the story of the Norse Vikings. So you're following the story of this young kid, Thorfinn, who is the son of a great Viking, leading off into battles between Europe, Wales, the Danes, and it is a great story and a great fictional play on a story with some historical facts in there.
You know what? When Vinland Saga first came out, I watched it when it first came out, and I read the manga. Man, I was like I was excited because it was like one of those ones where it's like, I feel like we haven't had an anime that is like about Vikings. You know what I mean? So I
There's
was like,
none.
I don't know, I was all on board about this one. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be actiony, cool. I'm game. I'm ready to watch it, man. And it lived up to the hype, man. It was so good. Thorfinn's dad, Thor's is a
Oh.
freaking beast, man. But we could get into that later when we talk about it, man. But oh my gosh, talk about one of my favorite characters in that whole anime, man. Thor's is a monster.
Yeah, he was like the equivalent of Paul Bunyan in Vinland Saga. Like this dude, he could do no wrong. Like he was a great father, the greatest Viking of all time. Like even other great warriors just said he was in a class of his own. And then not only that, but he just had more wisdom than any other character in this show. I mean, he was one of the few people to say a true warrior does not even need a sword. This dude was bodying people with his bare
Yeah.
fists. I mean, oh man, he's a legendary character. I understand why they did him the way they did him, but man, I could
I
I
want
could
to
have
say,
watched the whole show just on Thor's.
we're talking about it. Spoiler, right? If you punch this or you don't, just tune out real quick. But were you guys expecting him to die that early on, as far as his father goes?
Well, I had seen the spoiler alert, so I knew he already died.
You
But
knew he already died. But like if you, like when you dive into anime, right? Like to me, they made me like fall in love with Thor's. So I'm like, oh, I want to just see this dude like, be a Viking for a little bit, and then boom, they just rip out the rug from under you, and they just like, nah, he lets himself die, and you're like, come on, bro, like this dude's a badass. Like, let me watch more of him, and then they just like, nah, you're gonna watch his son instead.
Yeah, and it is a great setup to the story for the main character.
Yeah.
But I do wish they do some more flashbacks in the future to see Thor's in his prime fighting as a Viking.
Yes.
That could be like an anime itself, right? Like they should do one of just about Thor's when he was growing up. That would be freaking sick. Talk about an anime that just be all action. That would be it.
I'd be fine with that. One of those that doesn't even really have a storyline. It's just him beating on people.
Yeah. Sometimes you need those ones, man. Sometimes you really do. So then what do you guys think about Thorfinn, right? Like obviously he probably witnessed like the most tragic event like anyone could. Man, do you think he's like in the right or wrong? Because this dude is just like filled with revenge, and that's like all he sees, man. Like to me personally, I'd be like, kid, go home, man. Like no, like I would go home. If I was in his shoes, this dude stayed on the boat and he's tracking them down, wants to kill it, wants to kill Askeladd, all that stuff.
And
Yeah,
it's an
'cause-
interesting story setup because you really see from the age of 6 for Thorfinn over the past 10 years that he gets mentally and physically abused. And that's how he becomes kind of this demonous assassin at age 17, 18. That's probably
Yeah.
what he really is around at the end of the first season. But he's just mentally torn down and he's really broken, not really his own individual. He's a slave to this guy that he wants to kill because he killed his father.
Well, and that's even like a quote from Askeladd during the series. He says, "Everyone's a slave to something," and it kind of
Oh,
shows in the series. Everybody has a vice, like Thorfinn. That's his sole purpose in life is trying to kill Askeladd. Thorkel, all he wants to do is just fight people and eat. Askeladd, he's just trying to honor his mother and protect the people of Wales. Like everyone pretty much besides Thor's we just had one sole thing that they were just going for. And unfortunately a lot of people took L's in this show and there was some bloodshed.
man. So even like speaking about taking L's, like even on the last like scene, right, or when Askeladd dies, he's just like chilling there, and he's just like Thorfinn, man. He's like, "What do you want to do with your life?" And then he's like dying, and he just laughs. He's like, "You haven't even thought about that yet. Like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing?" He's like, "You're so fixated on me this whole time. Like, you didn't even think about like what you wanted in your life." So it's crazy, man. Did you guys watch that far up? Or did
Yeah.
I just okay? I was just making sure.
Well, yeah, and I think that's why I mean, I was reading some blogs, and for a lot of people, even though Thorfinn was the main character, a lot of people's favorite character was Askeladd, because Thorfinn, even though he's cool and he's like an amazing fighter, he is still so unrefined. Like he really doesn't know what he's doing in life. It's like, yeah, okay, what's your plan after you kill Askeladd, or like, do you have any other skills besides fighting? So I think that now that Askeladd's dead, if we do get a couple more seasons, we'll really get to see like, okay, what is Thorfinn gonna become? Like, is he gonna kind of live up to who his father was, or is he just gonna keep going in this vicious cycle?
Because right now they're showing him as a very good second man, but that's all he is right now as a fighter. They're not
Yeah.
really showing him as a developed leader as he's coming into his manhood.
They're gonna have to, man. You know what character I didn't like? It was Prince Canute, or however you say his name. That
Yeah,
dude is
Canute.
trash, man.
Oh,
That dude bothered me, right? And it's just like always made me laugh. It's just Thorfinn would just look at him and like be all grossed out because he was a wuss or whatnot. And obviously, like Thorfinn's like a young kid, and he was just like a freaking savage, man, like just killing people and whatnot. But that was like the only character that kind of really bothered me in this anime. But other than that, man, like they have awesome characters like Thorkel, like another beast,
oh
dude. Like that dude is
yeah.
a legend, man. And come on now, he's just over there just murdering people. I love how everyone's like, oh man, Thorkel's on their team, man. Like, let's not even fight them or whatnot. But
Yeah.
and you know who's the G? You know who's the G? Freaking Thorfinn's like, I want all the smoke, man. Askeladd's like, Thorfinn, go fight Thorkel, man. And this dude was just all about it, man. He didn't give no F's.
Yeah, Thorfinn was going off until he got his arm snapped by Thorkel when he got kicked like 1,000 feet in the air. Then it was like, all right, well this isn't an anime with ninjas or gods. This guy's just a regular human, so he's gonna struggle after he just had his forearm snapped in half.
I could see them playing that direction though. What if they do like a Norse god arc?
Ooh,
That would be pretty dope.
Ooh.
that would be
Because
interesting.
I do like this one a lot because it's one of those stories interwoven with actual history. So you get to see a little
Yeah.
bit of the play between the Norse and the Christian mindset in Europe. You get to see the type of battles that or hypothetical battles that could have gone on during that time period. So it is good to put the watcher into the story and learn a little bit about history too.
Well, and because this anime was more realistic, like there was quite a few scenes where I was like picturing in my mind how horrible it would be to actually have been alive during that time. Like if you're in that area when the Vikings were roaming, it's either kill or be killed. You're either a Viking going out there clapping the cheeks, or you're a villager getting your cheeks
Yeah.
clapped. There is
I'll
no in
say,
between.
could you imagine just like living in a little village, right? It's all peaceful, calm. Like you just stick to yourself, you just farm every single day, you just chop wood, make a fire for your family. And the next thing you know it, man, it's just these savages, man, from Vikings running down the hill and just freaking like busting through your house, taking everything you have. It's like killing everyone, probably even worse stuff. It's just like, man, that would be terrible. It's like, how do you even avoid that too?
And you
When I
still see that in common day Swiss and Norway, right? That's why a lot of people out there do have good features. It's because years and years of wars and ravaging. I mean, they're not going to keep the good looking individuals around. If they go Vikings raid a village, they're going to kill off all the ones they don't want.
Yep.
yeah.
Gosh, man, I wish I could be a Viking. I'd not like to do all that stuff. The
What
timing,
the
was,
heck,
the
boy?
timing was terrible. But could you imagine just being like tall and buff and just like strong? Like that'd be sick.
But the whole thought of having to go and destroy a village just for your next meal, I don't know. I don't think I could do that.
Well,
Depends what kind of meal it is.
What the heck, boy? Yeah, it just kind of showed like, I mean, even Askeladd, as much as you kind of low key hate him for killing Thors, it's like you watch his upbringing, and it's like these people that are growing up in this brutal world, they really have no other choice. It's like you either got to kill someone to get on top, work under somebody else, or just get taken out. I mean, it's just I think they did an amazing job of just speaking to what that culture was really like. That Viking culture where the only thing that's truly respected is strength and power.
They did a good job too. It's just talking about Askeladd and like making you just hate Askeladd. I hated him so much, man, and then they just slowly developed those feelings, and then you're like, no, I really like Askeladd. Like,
yeah.
don't kill him too. You're just like crying now. You're just like, why did they do that, man? And then you realize, like, right, you hear his background story, so you're like, oh man, poor dude. And then you're just like, he himself was a badass too. You're like, obviously he's like a really great fighter, man, and he wasn't like Thorkel or Thor's, who's like freaking. I don't even know how big they are, man. They look like they're 10 feet, like 700 pounds. That's how beastly they are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Askeladd didn't have all that, and he was just super smart. Obviously, like he used his guys right to get where he wanted, which was kind of jacked up. But and then he had that whole great grand plan of using Canute or whatever his name is, that prince, man, and hopefully elevating his spot to get even higher.
I thought it'd be pretty funny. What if we still had the Viking tradition in modern day culture where you have to die by a sword with a sword in your hand? So if you have like grandpa in the hospital and they're like, all right, stand up, grab your sword.
It's time to fight.
Man, that'd be You know what? If you're a warrior, though, I can see like why you'd want to go out that way. So, like when I joke around, I would want to go out a cool way like that if that was possible. As
Yeah.
compared to like some of the tragic ways to die now. Like, shoot, man, going out and fighting like a man would be awesome.
You'd have some funny businesses popping up
Yeah, you
that are
would.
just like assassins.
Yeah. Instead of LARPing, we just got the real thing. You gotta bring your swords. If you lose a limb, you lose a limb. That's how it goes.
What's
Then
that
everybody
one?
would have a sword strapped to their back too.
What's that one thing called? I know there's a name for it, but like you'll run into it every once in a while where you're at a park, right? And then there's people fighting with shields and swords and whatnot.
Oh
What's that
yeah,
called?
LARPing,
LARPing.
live action role playing. Oh
We-
gosh.
I need to get in some of that, man, because that's like talking about like living a dream right there. You know what I mean? You could be like a Viking, you could be a knight and whatnot. Like do some of that stuff.
Some of these dudes with lightsabers, they're really good at the different maneuvers they can do.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
They're all doing flips and twirling it around. It's actually a pretty solid hobby that these dudes do.
Where do you practice that at?
Yeah. Like, is there a Facebook club or?
Yeah. Like how do you get in one of those groups? That'd be sick. Imagine if you just accidentally like actually murdered someone. Like I wonder if that's ever happened. Maybe not
Smack-
murder
all
someone, but maybe
plastic,
like
right?
you swing your sword and it's like real and just lop someone's arm off. I'm assuming they're fake, man. Like I'm just messing around now.
I mean, that was crazy though, because like even the kids, Thorfinn at 6 years old, they were practicing with wooden swords. Like I can't imagine growing up if in PE they just gave us some wooden sticks and we're just beating the crap out of each other, getting our nose broken, get your wrist snapped in half, and you're like, all right, now let's come back. It's time for lunch.
It's a funny story, right? Just speaking of that, because me and my little brother, you guys heard him on the podcast last time, but we obviously like you could tell we were like super into Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, anime and whatnot. So every time there would be like a sword scene come on, or even Star Wars 2, right? So we would always go out in our backyard and like play fight with whatever it would be, sticks, you know what I mean? If we had plastic swords at the time, swords. But this one time specifically, my parents replaced like the shower curtain rod, right? And they got a new
Oh
one.
gosh.
So I had and this happened a couple of times, man, which was funny, man. At one point, I had a shower curtain rod, and then he just had the little plastic case that the rod came into. And, you can tell, I was a good big brother, and I just whooped his ass the whole time. And then it's like fast forward, I let him use that same like plastic shower curtain rod holder, and this time I had like my older siblings used to do karate, so they had like this big like padded like baseball bat looking thing. So and I had that, man. So I remember we're ready to fight, and he goes to swing that plastic thing at me, and he scratches me. I'm like, wait, that's not fair, man. Let me wrap that with the jacket around it. So then we go back at it again. He has the jacket, and he goes to smack me, and his thing just bends in half because the weight of the jacket bent the plastic part. And then I just welled on his ass again with that karate baseball bat, man. But playing swords, right? We all did that like growing up and whatnot. It was always a good time.
There's something so naturalistic in the male culture to want to make weapons out of anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Making swords
really
out of Legos, making guns out of Pop Tarts. I'm sure you saw that story.
Guns out of Pop-Tarts. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Who was
No, there's a
doing
kid in school who, like play toy guns weren't allowed or anything. So he bit his Pop Tart into the shape of the gun, and then he was acting like it was a gun and playing with it.
Yeah,
Got
that's pretty-
suspended for that.
I was gonna say that's
Okay,
kind of
neat.
smart, but I'm, like the podcast name says, man, I'm too much of a fat boy. I'm eating all my Pop-Tart,
Not wasting a bite.
I'm eating all my Pop-Tart. I ain't wasting it to be no play gun. That's nom 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 nom. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all in my stomach right there.
Oh, especially those brown sugar ones. You know what I'm talking about? It's all about the brown sugar Pop Tarts.
You know what? I keep it OG, man. Strawberry. That's what it is for me.
Oh, that's an old timer Pop Tart right there.
It's all about the blueberry with the frosting, boy.
Okay, I get down with strawberry, and then my next go-to is probably blueberry. So I'm not gonna bag on that. Nick,
you
you
guys-
probably like those chocolate ones, huh? You like chocolate and s'mores and whatnot.
No, that's too much.
That's too much.
You got to
Just
stick
a
with
trigger.
kind of the classics. Do you
Yeah,
bake them or do you eat them right out the package?
I've done both. I prefer to put them in the toaster and warm them up that way.
Mm. You ever done the ones that you put in the freezer, like the cookies and cream one?
Hmm?
No,
What
I've never heard of that.
Like what the
are
heck?
you talking about putting them in the freezer?
That's why we're the Fat Boys anime
Yeah, this is
No,
podcast.
why we the Fat Boys anime, because we're gonna be talking about anime and then we get sidetracked with Pop Tarts, man.
What the heck's
what
Hey,
were
going
we
that's
on?
talking about?
that should be our next poll, man. Is what Pop Tart you're taking? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Talking about.
Like if Thor's was to eat a Pop Tart, what kind is he eating? Strawberry, cherry, blueberry, or s'mores?
I think he's going maple brown sugar.
Maple. I was gonna say that. I can see that one. What about Thorfeed? Which one? Which Pop Tart? He's doing cookies and cream, huh?
That fool would like the knockoff Pop Tarts that don't even got any filling in them.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't even eat the Pop Tart. He'd say, "I'm not hungry. I'm just trying to kill Askeladd."
Yeah.
Oh, that's what we were talking about. Vinland Saga.
Vinland
Yeah.
Saga. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. Come on. Everyone at this point should know, right? If we're gonna get on, we're gonna run off topic. It's probably gonna be about food. So Pop Tarts, all right? It is. Okay, back to Vinland Saga though, man.
Okay, if you got to give it a rating on the A scale, what are you saying?
You know, I'm gonna give it a A. I'll give it an A minus. I feel like it's not okay. It's hard to compare it to animes that are much longer running, but as far as animes that just have one or two seasons, it's very high quality. I mean, the animation's pretty solid. I love the outro and intro music.
Yeah.
Storyline was just on another level, and the fact that there were so many awesome characters that the main character wasn't even my favorite character. I mean, they did a great job. I kind of want to see where they're gonna go from here, but I was very impressed.
Does it all right there, huh? When the MC, you're like, he's probably like number 5 or 6 on my like favorite character list for this anime. That's how you know they're doing a pretty good job as far as like just characters and character development. Um, I'm giving this. I'm like an A minus right now, so like I'd be like a 9.2 ish probably, but it's hard for me to go over like over to an A or an A plus and whatnot just because or an S rating like whatever it may be. But I need a little more. I need to see some. I'm gonna have to see some better like character development with Thorfinn in the future and see how they do that, and then that could just boost that anime up there for me.
And I'm putting it on a A class,
Yeah.
not an A minus, just because I do like the world setting so much. It's a story I haven't seen before. I was drawn in right away from the opening Viking battle, so
No.
I was
Yep.
pretty impressed all around.
No, it's good. And like I said, I'm pretty close to having it just on an A, but need a just tad bit more. And the reason why is because Thorfinn is the main character, right? So I want to see him grow and see him develop and see if they do a good job like that, or we're gonna get Deku 2.0 and he's just gonna be a chump.
So, like having for those that haven't read the manga, if you're just watching anime, like what direction do you think they go into season 2? Like, what do you think they're gonna show us, or what is Thorfinn gonna do?
Preferably, I would like to see him go back home, and say hi to his mom and
Yeah.
sister real quick. That would be the first thing I'd want to see him to do. Part of me thinks he's not, and he's gonna chill with the prince, Canute, and help them take over or whatnot. I don't know. I just don't know if that's his vibe or whatnot, but I don't know. I hope he goes home and finds his mom and sister again.
Yeah, if he goes home and then he finds some sort of mentor there that trains him in the way of the Vikings, and then you see this uprising between nation states for a larger war instead of just these smaller skirmishes, I like to see
Yeah.
a big war start to play out.
Because he has like a name made for himself already too. And like you think about it, like Thorkel's maybe the strongest dude in this universe as of right now. So it's like and like
Yeah.
his mindset on like Thorfinn, he's like Thorfinn's gonna be a beast and whatnot, you know what I mean? So he's gonna have a name for himself. It's gonna be interesting to see how all these big countries rise up and whatnot, and like these wars start to pop off, like where he's gonna fit in that puzzle piece.
Well, and I could see, like, first, yeah, we want him to go home, see his mom and his sister, but Floki, he might have thought we forgot, but mother effer, we didn't forget that had it not been for you putting the hit on Thor's would still be alive. So I'm hoping, Thorfinn goes home, kind of rests up, but then he finds out, oh, Floki,
Yeah,
this was a guy that actually got my dad killed. And then maybe Thorfinn kind of leads to the rise of another nation to kind of combat. Because I really think Thorfinn he could care less about Canute and Thorkel and really anybody. So that would be cool for him to, yeah, kind of develop into a leader and maybe eventually go to war with Thorkel and Floki and Canute and kind of really, enact revenge on the people that really led to his dad being murdered.
yeah. I mean, I can't wait till Floki. Floki has to die, man. He's gonna get freaking murdered, man. That's all I know. And I hope it's by Thorfinn.
Man, what do y'all think? Y'all got any final thoughts? Final thoughts on this Vinland Saga?
Go watch it, man. It really is a good one. And I think it's unique because it brings that whole Viking aspect, which you really haven't seen. And I think you guys said there isn't another anime like that, but you don't see this type of story in an anime. So it's very unique. It has good action, has good characters in it. Go watch it. We highly recommend it. We've all put it in that A-class rating. So man, I don't think you guys are gonna be disappointed.
Netflix over the past couple of years has stepped up and started making animes. Now Amazon answers the call. I'm hoping to see
Good.
some competition and some rising in the general streaming services for anime production.
Yep. And also, the new seasons of other animes are coming out, so we're gonna have a lot more to talk about. Everyone, My Hero's the big one, right? So stay tuned.
It's gonna be good. This year it came out pretty hot, but it's not done yet. We got My Hero, Bleach, Code Geass season 3. We'll have to get into a little bit of Seven Deadly Sins season 4. It's gonna be a good year, boys.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, if y'all would like to come follow us on our socials, you can find us at Fat Boys Anime. Boys is BOIS. On Twitter, we are Fat Boys Anime 1. And if you want to catch us on TikTok, just freaking twerking, doing the floss, doing the orange justice, you can catch us on Fat Boys Anime. So we hope you enjoyed. Go watch Vinland Saga. And watch out for these anime elves. We'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.